Welcome in, everybody, to Red, White, and Bills. This is Weekly Picks, Week 5. My voice is still hoarse from the game on Sunday, and I'll be back there in a couple weeks. I don't know why I can't pull it. There we go. My mouse wasn't clicking, but we're gonna get into it. Brett is down 40-20. He has 40 and 25, and I am 46 and 19. So he's not too far behind, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. And like I said, once I get going, there's no stopping me. So, Brett, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm glad to be back with you again for another week, and it's going to be a good one this week. We got a couple teams on buys, but we'll get through it, and we'll see how everything goes this week, and if I can gain a couple of teams on you, and see how that goes.
Yeah, we're gonna see. Last week, my upset of the week hit with the Texans, even missing their whole offensive line. All starters were gone, and then they were missing another couple key players. But you know, it was a pretty good pick, I guess. Mike comes in early in the season. Brett about to go on a run. He said that last couple of weeks, Mike, but we'll see. He's got a chance this week.
I'm going to keep
So
the expectations low this week, and just I'm going to put my money where it belongs and just keep quiet and keep my mouth shut because I've learned my lesson of talking crap and everything. So we'll keep it calm this week, and we'll get through it.
all right, let's see how it works out for both of us. Thursday night football, Commanders versus the Bears. The Commanders are favored by 6.5. Uh, Obviously, this is an easy one in my opinion. The Bears seem to be, no matter how they played their best game that they've had in like 2 years, and they still found a way to lose. So I'm not going to pick the Commanders. The Commanders are on a 2-game losing streak. They almost beat the Eagles. So, it's funny when people say, oh, the Bills only did good because it was Sam Howell. Well, the Eagles were supposed to have the best defense in the NFL last year, and they had to take overtime to beat Sam Howell and the Commanders. So I'm going to go with Washington in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Go Washington. I think that they've played some really close games over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's just going to be a close game. Well, I think it's going to be an easy win for them this week. They're going to be able to get through the Bears, and it should be an easy win for them.
Love it. And then another easy one, obviously. We go to across the pond, our Buffalo Bills, after a big, nice, pretty awesome, huge win. Too many words to say about it. We go to Jacksonville to a team that we haven't beaten in the last couple of times we faced them. So this is a big test, not only because they're a pretty decent team, but because we haven't been beating them. And we have to fly to England when they're already in England. So even though we're a home team, we have a disadvantage. But we're still favored by 5.5. And the Bills aren't the type of team, in my opinion, that they read too much into things. So they're not gonna, like Josh always says, we got to keep it right here. I truly believe that they all feel that way. And they're not gonna think, oh yeah, we beat Miami real good, so now it's just how it is. They're gonna look at Jacksonville, how they looked at Miami last week, and focus on the opponent at hand. And I didn't get any Jags film yet, but the Jags to me haven't played what I thought they were going to be this year through the first quarter of the season. But we'll get into that Saturday on Nickel City Mafia with Red, White, and Ruthless, and I'm sure we'll have. I'm thinking about doing a pregame show Sunday morning. Actually, getting off topic because I don't have to work Sunday morning because of the game. I was like, oh, maybe why not go live at like 8 or something, just do it before, but it's all up in the air. But regardless, we'll get into that later on. But I'm obviously picking the Bills here.
Yeah, this is a game where there's going to be Josh Allen's on both sides of the field, which is going to be great to see. Hopefully, the Bills can find a way to stop the other Josh Allen, who last week had 3 sacks in the game. But we got to find a way to keep our Josh Allen in this game and get him going, especially early in the game. So it's going to be a fun one. But I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to win this one. I do think it's going to be a closer game than most people expect, especially with the Jaguars staying in London this week. So it's going to be good for them to stay in London and getting acclimated there. And it's going to be a little bit of jet lag for the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see how that one works and we'll see what they do. But I think Buffalo is going to come out with a win this week.
It's a big game. You can't let this last week mean nothing. So if you go out here and lose to the Jags, beating Miami in a huge game, it takes away from that. So got to make sure we come out with a win. Then you got the closest game of the week, the Colts versus the Titans. The Colts are favored by 0.5. And it's funny because when you look at the 4 AFC divisions, 3 of them total 8-8. And then the Chiefs division, AFC West, is like 7-9. But it's just kind of funny how like the AFC South is 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. AFC East is 3-1, 3-1, 1-3, 1-3. And then, the AFC North is 8-8 still, but it's just funny. The Colts have been kind of surprising to be 2-2, and the Titans just came off a big win over Cincy. This one's really tough because is Jonathan Taylor going to come back? Zach Moss has played pretty good. Anthony Richardson has looked pretty good, but at the same time, the Titans have been, good one day, bad the next. I'm gonna still go with the Titans here. I think Derrick Henry had a great game last week, and I think he can build off of that and put a couple good ones together.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one. I think that Derrick Henry is going to go off in this game, and I think that the Colts have been overperforming a little bit this year with Anthony Richardson, so I think they're going to cool off just a little bit. Don't think you're going to see Jonathan Taylor in this game. I think he's just maybe a couple weeks away from getting back into things, but you'll see Zach Moss out there. But I just think that the Mike Vrabel needs to get this team under control. You're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry out there, and I think this is the best test for him, especially against the Colts defense that's kind of been a little weak this year. So we'll see how they do, and I think the Titans will find a way to win this game and get to 3-2 on the season.
Yeah, and I feel like Vrabel is a better coach, so I think in a game like this, that'll come out and help. Next game, Falcons versus Texans. Falcons are favored -1.5. Matt Chatter, how's it going, my friend? Thumbs up. Thank you. Yes, sir. The Texans have looked pretty damn good. I will say DeMeco Ryans got them boys ready to play. CJ Stroud, although his completion percentage isn't great, he's been balling out, setting rookie records all over the place. I don't think he's even thrown an interception yet. But just absolutely going crazy. And then Atlanta, they got Bijan Robinson has been pretty good. They got a pretty decent offensive line. Desmond Ridder, isn't the best, but man, I mean, Houston's been good to me the last couple weeks. They got me an upset of the week, so I'm gonna roll with Houston again.
I'm going to go the opposite way on this one. I think that Houston's been overperforming a little bit this year, even though the Falcons are a team that Desmond Ridder's been struggling this year. I think this is a game where they bounce back and find a way to get a win. And even though DeMeco Ryans has gotten this team under control, I just think that Bijan Robinson is going to find a way to get the offense going for the Atlanta Falcons, and they'll squeak out a win in this game. So, and for Matt Chatter's comment, he asked who the Titans are playing. They're playing the Colts this week. So hopefully that answers that one.
All right. This game is a potential blowout here. You got the Lions versus the Panthers. The Lions are favored -8.5. Like I said, this is pretty easy for me. The Panthers seem to be in a tough spot right now. They're got a lot of injuries, offensive line, on the defensive side of the ball. Bryce Young doesn't have much weapons. Their best weapon's Adam Thielen. And, as of right now, and Adam Thielen's a little bit old and slow. They have trouble with separation. And, their just defense, what they've been known for, hasn't been able to step up in games that they played so far this season. And Detroit Lions have looked freaking awesome this year. And well, I mean, seeing the Lions be 4-1 would be incredibly fun. So I love what Detroit's doing. Dan Campbell's got the guys ready to play. Jared Goff is being consistent as always. They got a good run game. Offensive line is always good. And we love Sam Laporta. So going Lions here.
I'm in agreement with you on this one too. I'm going to take the Lions to win as well. Not trying to copy you on all your picks and everything, but I did send you them before the show, so you can't say anything about that. But I'm going to take the Lions to win this one. David Montgomery has been great for fantasy owners. He's He's done a lot of good things over the last couple of weeks. He did have 1 week where he did get injured, so he's been doing his thing, and I think this is a game where you're going to see the return not only of Jameson Williams coming back after the suspension. I think that you're going to see a different offense, and I think that that offense is only going to get better by having their number one receiver out there as well. So I'm going to take the Lions to win this one by a lot.
I agree. Good choice. Good choice. Then you got the Ravens versus the Steelers. Ravens are favored by 3.5. Not sure if Kenny Pickett is going to play, but I mean, the Ravens are gonna just. I feel like this is way too low. I feel like they're gonna win by at least 2 scores. So Baltimore, Lamar's looked good this last week. Mark Andrews looks good as always. Their defense is great. Granted, they didn't play against Deshaun Watson. Not that he's a fantastic quarterback or anything, but DTR was his first real game, and he played against a great defense in the Ravens, and he didn't do too well. Amari Cooper didn't even get he got me 1 point in fantasy. So
yeah,
he couldn't even get his number one receiver the ball. So that's just, rookies being a rookie. So obviously I'm going to go with Baltimore in this situation. The Steelers haven't impressed me at all this season.
Yeah, the Steelers are going to have Kenny Pickett out there on the field. He did tell reporters today that he is expecting to go. So you can count me on this one, Sean, and trust me that he will be out there playing. So if you want to keep your mind on that,
I'm still going to pick the Ravens because Kenny Pickett hasn't looked good. I got him in fantasy also. He hasn't looked good either.
Yeah, I'm not going to take the Steelers. I've learned my lesson from them over the past couple of weeks. I've picked them for upsets of the week. I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. I learned my lesson, and I think the Ravens, like Mad Chatter says here, I think they're a top 10 team in the league. They're playing really well. Their defense is looking really good. And if they can get their run game under control as well and get healthy, that's the main thing, is just get healthy for them. Then they're going to be a team that's going to be making a good run in the playoffs as well.
Absolutely. Matt Chatter wants to know our top 5. I like everybody you say, but take Eagles out and put Dallas there. And then Eagles are 6 for me. But everything else is the same for me.
So for me, I'm going to put Buffalo up there. I'll go Buffalo, Kansas City, the Eagles, the 49ers, and then no disrespect to the Dolphins after the loss and everything, but I'm going to put the Cowboys ahead of the Dolphins right now, but put the Dolphins at 6. And I think, you can go either way on this. I just think that the Dolphins are a little bit overrated in terms of what they've done. They haven't gone up against a real test until they played the Buffalo Bills, and they disappointed in that test, to be honest with you. And I think that when they start playing some big competition, like we're going to have games against the Cowboys, you're going to have games against the 49ers, and there's going to be Kansas City coming up, as well as you have the Eagles too. In these games, are they going to be able to perform against the top defenses in the league? That's a question that you're going to have to answer and step up to. And you also have to play the Bengals as well. I don't know if I mentioned them as well. So
they stink. So
the Bengals aren't playing. They're playing bad. Don't get me wrong. But
I mean, playing bad is that's like, oh, I'll give you played bad for a week. They played bad for 4 weeks, and
right.
Even the game they won, they should have lost with that.
Right.
There was a stupid a touchdown got called back for the Rams, and then they just started reeling after that, and
right.
They still, but respectable. Then you got the Patriots and the Saints. Patriots are favored -1.5. I mean, the Saints have been disappointing to me this year. I thought they'd be, having a guy like Derek Carr be very consistent, and then the weapons they got, like Olave, and great defense. They got Cam Jordan, DeMario Davis there. I thought they'd be a lot better than they are, and they've been disappointing. The Patriots have been disappointing as well, but I got the Patriots winning this game. I think Belichick won't allow. He got beat by his worst defeat margin in NFL history. I mean, his history. I mean, the game we beat them in the playoffs was probably his worst loss.
Right.
Or as far as point differential, this was the worst loss he's ever faced. So I think they'll bounce back and they'll win a close one, like 17-13.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 24-17 Patriots in this one. So I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think
Thank you.
they're going to bounce back. They've, the one thing I will say about Bill Belichick is he's a wonderful coach. He always knows how to get his team to come back after a loss. And I think this is a game where they have to show a lot. And you have to remember as well, they traded for J.C. Jackson, who has familiarity with the team. So they're going to get J.C. Jackson back. And I think he's going to make a big difference out there for the New England Patriots defense as well.
He did play good for the when he went to the Chargers. He started playing like one of the worst corners ever. When he was in New England, he played pretty good, except for when he was on Diggs. But I mean, he does that to everybody. So you got the Patriots winning?
I have the Patriots winning as well. I'm not going to take them as my upset of the week, though.
Yep. All right. Well, then the next one is, how about that J.C. Jackson? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm surprised. But he just wasn't a fit for the Chargers, so I guess it makes sense for them to let him go. But you got Miami home against the New York Giants, who are looking like the Giants honestly probably are the worst team in the NFL right now. People thought the Cardinals were, but the Giants, I think they scored, let's see, they scored 0 the first game. They scored 3 last night, Monday night. Then they scored 28 against the Cardinals. They did beat the Cardinals. But then they lost 30-12 to the Niners. So minus that Cardinals game, they scored 15 points.
Yeah.
And that Cardinals game, they were shut out for the first half. So they really look horrible, honestly. And that kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought they'd be bad, but not this bad. The Dolphins are going to, like I said, they're favored by 10.5. They're going to, they could probably put 50 on this team. It might be 50-6. But they'll win regardless. I don't know if it'll be that much of a blowout, but the Dolphins are going to win by at least 10.5, guaranteed. They're going to want to get that bad taste out of their mouth, losing to us. The Giants are a team that just can't seem to get it right at this moment in time. Dayball's getting exposed for not being that great of an offensive coordinator, even though he's a head coach, but it's his offense. And they got a bunch of injuries on the offensive line. It's not looking too good for him. So Miami easily beating the Giants.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one too, because I look at the way that they played last week against the Buffalo Bills, and I don't think that the Dolphins are going to lose 2 straight. It's going to be a game where they're going to find a way to get a win, and they'll do everything that it takes to get that win.
Absolutely. Then you got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Rams, and the Eagles are favored in LA minus 4.5. The Rams are so weird because they didn't look too good against the Bengals, but they've had pretty good outings so far this season, and they did let the Colts come back. But the Colts are hard to read now because they seem pretty terrible, but then they beat the Ravens and they almost beat the Rams. So you're just like, who are they? You know, what kind of, and they beat the Texans, I think. So it's like, what kind of team are they right now? I guess I'll just have to keep going with Philly. I mean, they're still not playing great football. They seem like they've definitely taken a step back, but I like what Matt Cheddar said. This is an upset alert possible, but I think I'll still go with Philly here.
So this is where I'm going to gain 1 spot on you, and actually possibly 2. I'll gain 2. My upset of the week is going to be the Rams over the Eagles. The Eagles are not playing good football right now. They are underperforming, and they almost lost to the Commanders, 26-24. I think this is the game where you're going to see the Rams come back. They're going to play tough, and they played everybody tough pretty much, except for, like you said, the Bengals. And I love what they're doing with their young receivers and Puka, as well as I'm trying to remember the other receiver that they have out there as well. Tutu Atwell, you're right. Yeah, I couldn't think of his first name. I knew his last name was Atwell, though. As well as they might not have Tyler Higbee out there. We'll see as the week goes on. He's questionable to play this week. But I just think that they're playing everybody tough, and they're overperforming. Sean McVay has this team playing hard every single play, and I think that this is going to be one where this could be a very good upset. This game is played at the Rams, correct?
Yeah.
So traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast, we've talked about that a lot. You got to remember that this game is going to be played. This is a 1:00 game, correct? So it will
No,
be.
it would be, man, maybe probably. I'm assuming it's gonna be at 4 o'clock
It might be a
because
4:00 game. Let me see if it is
it'd be
though,
one
real quick.
o'clock. It'd be 1 o'clock in LA, but 4 o'clock here.
So either way, I mean, you're playing a game that's gonna feel like it is a 4:00 game. So it'll feel like what? So that's the East Coast. It'll be 4:00. So that still
One
feels like
o'clock.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1:00 on this side. So
Yeah, California's 3 hours behind,
3 hours
or
behind.
or
So it'd
or
be like
ahead or
7:00.
whatever.
No, wait, that's not right. So 4:00. Yeah, you're
So
right.
it's
It'll
one
feel like 1
o'clock.
o'clock. You're right. You're right. You're right. I've got it wrong. I'm sorry. So 4:00 hours Eastern Standard Time. I'm thinking, why am I thinking the other way around? Yeah,
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock our time. Yep.
public school education. Don't get me wrong. I got it wrong. So
Well, I'm confused. I'm confusing myself now too.
I'm confusing myself. I'm thinking 3 hours behind. So that would be 7. No, it's not right.
Yeah, so
So 4:00
California's
our
3 hours.
time.
So right now it's 5 o'clock in California.
Right. It's 5:00 in California. So it's still 8:20 right now here. So,
Yeah.
but for me, I mean, this game, traveling all the way to LA, playing in SoFi Stadium, and you got to remember a couple of things. SoFi Stadium is one of the harder stadiums to play in as well. It's a tough atmosphere. Some teams struggle there, so I think that this is going to be a game where the Rams are going to find a way to win, playing in front of their home crowd, and they're going to perform very well. So you'll see the Rams getting the upset of the week for me in this game.
All right. I love it. Next game, Cincinnati versus Arizona. In Arizona, Cincinnati's favored by 3.5. It's not even an upset for me at this point. I'm just gonna go with Arizona. I mean, the one time I picked Cincinnati, they I mean, I've been picking Cincinnati to lose, and then they won once. So, I mean, Joe Burrow is literally right now the worst quarterback in the NFL as far as stats go. He's got a worse QBR and passer rating and yards and touchdowns than Zach Wilson, um, Desmond Ritter, like some of the worst quarterback stats you could imagine. And you could probably blame it on him being injured, but the coaches say he's fine. So if they think he's fine and he's playing like this, you have to judge him that this is how he's playing, and he's playing horrible. He's through 4 weeks. Like I'll give you he didn't have a training camp for a week or two, but now it's a month
Yeah.
long of football. How many
Yeah.
more excuses can you give this guy? He's been horrible. If this was Josh Allen or Mahomes or Dak or something, he would be getting shit on the whole time. So I get he might be a little bit injured. I get that, but the coaches say he's okay. What's up, Amicus? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. But yeah, so Arizona, they've been in some games. I know they're against bad teams, but I think this is the kind of game that Arizona can win. And I'm not going to count it as an upset.
Well, you better not count it as an upset, though. But
well, I mean, technically it would be, but I'm not going to count it.
It would be an upset. Don't get me wrong, but dude, I got to tell you this, man. I'm going to go with the Bengals right now. They're not going to lose 2 straight, especially with their playoff implications that they have right now.
2 straight though. They lost the first 2 games.
They're not going to lose 3 straight. I'm sorry. I thought
they lost the first 2, then they won, then they lost.
Right. So they're not going to lose 2 straight again. Is what I'm saying. I get it. I'm saying they're not going to lose that again. They're not going to do that. Okay. Right now they have, they have to win. I mean, that's pretty much how it is, or your playoff implications are very, very slim. So especially right now, Joe Burrow is going to find a way to be Joe Burrow again. That's not going to happen. Especially, the first half of the year, they're not going to do that. Zach Taylor has ran this team very well. They're going to find a way to win a lot of ball games this year. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take
going to Matt Chatter's comment saying that they started the same way last year. It was a little bit different though. They weren't this bad, and they weren't. I don't think they were 1-3. They were 2. They were 0-2, then 2-2, then 2-3, and then when they went on a 10-game win streak and whatever. But it was a little bit different because they still were able to put up points in those games that they lost. Now they came. Like Joe Burrow has 2 touchdowns in 4 games. They scored 3 points twice, and they just don't look good. And it's not even just Joe Burrow; it's the whole team. Like Jamar
it's all about chemistry. That's what it is. It's coming down to you. Let me just stop you there for a second, and I'm sorry to cut you off though, but this is a situation where you have a player that didn't get to go in front of the team and get the chemistry with his wide receivers in training camp. And not only does that affect the quarterback, it affects the wide receivers, it affects the linemen and everything. And I'm not making excuses for the Cincinnati Bengals whatsoever or Joe Burrow. I think that they're going to get their timing back together. You know, it takes everybody a while. Look at the Buffalo Bills to start the year. Look at the good teams right now and how the Eagles have started as well. You know, they're not playing their best ball right now. I mean, besides the Buffalo Bills, other teams are not playing their best ball. Let's look at the Eagles. The Eagles are sucking right now, and what did they do? They rested their starters in the preseason. The teams that rested their starters in the preseason or didn't have a lot of experience in the preseason are the teams that are struggling right now besides Buffalo. And Buffalo was able to figure it out early, but when you didn't play a lot of your starters in the preseason, this is what happens. And Joe Burrow missed most of training camp with the calf injury. He didn't play a lot in the preseason as well with that calf injury. Now it's impacting him again. And maybe there's a little bit of a psychological side of it as well with having re-injured the calf injury again. And that could have something to do with it as well. But I'm not going to back down on Joe Burrow, and I'm not going to go against Joe Burrow. He's a great quarterback in this league, one of the better ones in this league. He's going to find a way to figure it out. Zach Taylor is going to figure it out as well, and I think it's going to be a game where they win.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Like you mentioned, like the Eagles are struggling, but they're also 3-0. Like they're winning games and putting up points offensively. The Eagles scored more in one quarter than the Bengals have scored the whole season in 4 games. Oh, the Eagles are 4-0. Sorry.
Right.
So, like, yeah, they might be struggling to their standard, but they're still winning games, though. And as far as like Joe Burrow not having connection with his receivers, he played college with all those guys, with Jamar Chase and not T Higgins, but he played college football with Jamar Chase.
Right.
What's the excuse that you can't have a connection with your number one receiver that you play with for 6 years? And then Tyler Boyd, T Higgins, these guys have all been on the team since Joe Burrow's been drafted. So there's no new piece starting that Joe Burrow can't get used to. So
it's just, all it is chemistry as an offense. That's what it comes down to.
That's my point, though. It's the same offense they've had since Burrow's been in the league. All these people on his team are the same people on offense he's had since he's entered the league. So I don't think you can use that. Oh, he's not gelling with his offense, because this is the offense that got him to a Super Bowl last year, or the year before that. This is the offense that got him to the AFC Championship last year. Everything is the same. You still got Joe Mixon. You still got Tyler Boyd. You still got Jamar Chase. You still got T Higgins.
It is to a degree, but you also in the preseason and then training camp and everything, you get to practice the plays that you want to run as well. So if you look at, having Joe Burrow out there versus having the backup quarterback, you're not going to run the same plays that you normally do. You're not going to do the same things that you would do with Joe Burrow that you would do with your backup quarterback that's there. That's not how the offense runs. So the offense is running based off of having the backup quarterback in there. And I'm trying to remember who the backup quarterback even is for the Bengals. And forgive me for not knowing it. I'm trying to remember who it is now. Isn't it? It might be AJ McCarron now. It's the backup quarterback actually.
But my point is, like, he's been playing the whole regular season so far, and it's been a month. So you can't in a month of practice with your team, and every day you're practicing for the most part, or watching film or whatever. So now a month later, he still can't get the plays down. He still can't get connection with the guys he's been thrown to his whole career. He still can't get to the same offense that he's been coached on since he's been into the league. Zach Taylor's still calling the plays that he's been calling since he's been coaching. And I don't know. It's just like he's getting more leeway and excuses than any other quarterback would for being in the position he's in. He's only got.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
He has the worst completion percentage, the worst QBR. He's literally ranked behind people that are even not that he's overall a bad quarterback. I'm just saying, judging off his first 4 weeks, he's been the worst quarterback in the NFL. And
I agree.
I'm not saying he can't go back to what he used to be, but that's all on him. If he sat the first four weeks, they would probably still be 1-3, and then he would be healthy in week 5. Now he's still not healthy. He would have
re-injured himself.
Yeah, now he's still not healthy, and they're 1-3 anyway. And he looks horrible. He looks absolutely atrocious. So, but the thing is, they also say that he's healthy. Zach Taylor said his calf is okay. He's 100% healthy. So if the coaches aren't using that as an excuse of why he's doing bad, why is the rest of the world? And maybe this week he'll dominate a bad defense, and then everything will be back to normal. But they haven't played that many great teams yet, and they haven't been able to dominate anybody yet. So,
Well, right now his confidence is down. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's what it
gotta be, yeah.
boils down to. His confidence is down. Going through the rigorous times of and you would know it as a football player, Sean. You'll agree with what I'm about to say. When you have a player that is injured often and you don't get to experience training camp and everything, that takes a big toll on your mind as well. And you look at Tre'Davious White in the situation that he's going through. I'm going to bring it back to the Bills on this one. Tre'Davious White had the ACL injury. He was out for the whole entire season. Now he has an Achilles injury. He's going to be out for the whole entire season. I wonder how his mindset is going to be after having this Achilles injury and trying to come back from this one again. Because sometimes what happens is it riddles a whole entire career for a player because they're trying to be the same player that they were before that injury. And sometimes you're not going to be the same player after that injury. You have to find a way to be as good as you can with having the injury and coming back from that injury. So he may lose a step. He may not be the same Tre'Davious White that you remember him as before these injuries. I pray he is. I hope he has a successful surgery and everything goes well, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but what do I always say about people playing injured?
You shouldn't do it.
They choose to do it. They have to take the repercussion of their actions. And
Yeah,
just like Spencer Brown decided to play that last year, and it was absolutely horrible. He has to get every criticism. He deserves every criticism that he got. Same thing with Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow's, a calf injury isn't like an ACL or an Achilles, but if he physically is hurting his team by playing, that's what it is. He has to be judged off of how he's playing, and he's playing horrible. And
I agree.
he could have sat down. He could have sat down at least last week. They got the one win. Okay, let him sit now. Or you should have sat him the first 2 weeks because you lost both of those anyway.
Right.
And he didn't look good in the first one, so you should have just sat him the second week. But they are getting desperate. They're playing him because they know that if they don't win, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
And if they go 1-4, they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't care if they go on. They're not going to go on a big win streak, especially because Joe Burrow's not 100% up here, maybe, and with his injury. So if he plays this week against Arizona and he loses and they go 1-4, and he's playing the week after, it's out of desperation because the Bengals know that they're not going to make the playoffs if he doesn't play. But like I said, you're losing these games anyway. Why not just rest him and then maybe go on a big run when he's healthy? But you're making your franchise quarterback play with an injury that's affecting his play. Like when Josh was hurt, he still was able to win games. Joe Burrow can't win games when he's hurt, apparently. So I don't know. He's still a great quarterback, obviously, but it definitely puts him back in that department of him and Patrick Mahomes are on the same level, and they're both above Josh Allen. I think that ship sailed now. Allen is definitely above Joe. I always thought they were equal. You could argue either one, but based off of right now and the years past, put it all together, Burrow's not number 2 anymore. I mean, that's just in my opinion. But he's still a good quarterback, and he'll probably bounce back. If not, if he gets shut down for the year, he'll come back next year and be another top 3 quarterback again. But then you got the most important game of the week, Denver versus the New York Jets. This goes back to the preseason. A lot of implications here. This game means more. This is like last week's Bills-Dolphins game to these guys. Both 1-3. The Jets think now that their season could be saved because Zach Wilson played good last week. So they think at 1-3, they have a chance to go on a run and maybe make the postseason. Some people even said that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back week 9 and be with the team and be ready to play a couple weeks after that, because he's ahead of schedule in his rehab. But they also don't understand that, he may be rehabbing pretty good, but he's not going to be in game shape because he's not going to do anything. He's not going to run. He's not going to do all this stuff yet. Yeah, he's rehabbing good. Nice. He won't be back this season, especially because he's old. But nonetheless, um, man, I don't know. It's tough because I want to go with the Jets here because, you know, I'm happy for Zach that he played good last week, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that twice in a row. The Broncos defense, as we've seen, is the worst in the NFL. But part of me wants to pick Denver. I don't know. I feel like there's no way in hell Sean Payton will lose this game because of all that shit he talked preseason, and he's just not the type of guy. He'll go to any kind of length to win this game. So I'm gonna go with Denver here.
Man, I thought for sure you're going to go with the Jets to win this game. I really did.
I wanted
You're leaning back and forth, but for me, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to take the Jets to win this game. I do think that Russell Wilson has stepped up. He's done a lot better this year, but I just think that this is a game where the Jets have to win it. And based off of what we saw around Zach Wilson and how he performed last week, you could say that, he's gotten better. And I think that he's really taking ownership of the situation that he's in. He understands that he needs to play better. And even though he did play good, it wasn't his fault that the team lost. He's taking the ownership, and I think that he's going to get better as a quarterback. And with Aaron Rodgers there now, I think he's going to get him right back on track. So I'm going to take the New York Jets to win this game and find a way to bounce back after a tough loss last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, which I know you and I would have hoped for a Jets win, though.
I can never root for the division. I don't know.
But against Kansas City, you wouldn't have rooted for you weren't rooting for it?
Can't. Division.
Not even because you can't. Not because of Taylor Swift being there, nothing like that. You weren't rooting against Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
No, this is tough because to me the division's worse. So
yeah.
Like I'll go to another baseball reference. I'm a Nationals fan, obviously everybody knows. Last World Series was the Astros and the Phillies. I hate the Phillies with a passion. Also because they're in our division. I also hate the Astros because they cheated for years, and we still beat them in the World Series, even though they were cheating. So, I mean, we got the last laugh there. But I still rather would have had Houston win that World Series, which they did, and the Phillies lost, which was hilarious, and I'm glad they lost. But that's how it is with football too. Sure, I hate the Chiefs a lot, of course, but I also hate my division even more because I didn't hate the Chiefs until 3 years ago. So I mean, I hated my division since I've liked football. So yeah, I would have liked the Chiefs to. I always want the Chiefs to lose, but it's always good watching division lose. So
yeah,
and I also think like the Chiefs aren't playing the greatest either, so I think they'll lose some games coming up as well, and I think we'll beat them again. So
yeah,
as long as we take care of business and we beat them again, we beat the Bengals and we beat the Jags, I think that we'll be in a good spot. So I would have liked for both to lose, but I don't know. It's tough in that situation, I mean, I feel like the Chiefs losing that game would have meant less than the Jets losing it, if that makes sense. Because the Chiefs could lose that game and then win 10 games in a row. The Jets can't win 10 games in a row. I feel like I don't know. It's just weird because I felt like if the Jets won that game and they beat the Chiefs and the Bills and they were 2-2 and Zach Wilson played great and they got Denver and then they got like some other crap team and then they're 4-2, I felt like that would have just propelled them with that kind of defense and that kind of motivation and Zach playing well, that could maybe propel them to go on a run. And then we already lost to them. So
right.
we're in a bad spot because we lost to them. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a better thing to have them lose. But that's okay. This is going to be a fun game, I think. Hopefully, I don't know what time it is, but hopefully I can get this game on the TV because I'm interested to see the energy these teams come with.
Yeah, it's going to be a 4:00 game, though, but hopefully you can watch it.
And then you got the Chiefs versus the Vikings. The Chiefs are favored at 5.5. It's with this is the same Vikings team as last year because I say that in the sense of they won like 10 one-score games last year. They lost 3 one-score games so far. So they're doing the same thing they did last year, only they're losing the games this time. This could have been the Vikings last year, except they won 13 games last year. Um, they got some good players. They got some good players, but their defense, like Matt Chatter said, they stink. So gonna have to go to Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one. I'm going to go Kansas City to win this one, and I don't think it's going to be close, to be honest with you. Even though you have Kirk Cousins, who's Captain Clutch, is how I like to call him, because every single time it seems like he keeps the teams in games, but I just don't see a reason where their defense is going to stay up with the Kansas City offense, and I think they're going to go to 1-4 on this season, and the Kansas City Chiefs will find a way to get a win out in this game.
Well, Ram, I hope that's true, my friend. Speak it into existence. It's funny, before this game, the last 3 picks, we both picked different, but all the picks before that we picked the same.
Yep.
The
I think we're going to
Eagles
go on a
game,
broad
Cincinnati game, and the Denver game was all different. But here's my upset of the week. Dallas is going to beat the Niners. And people might say, why is that an upset? Dallas hasn't beaten the 49ers in the last few matchups they've had. 2 playoff games and, a couple before that. I think it's an upset because of that reason, and because I think the 49ers, you could argue, are the most complete team in the NFL. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Dallas here. Niners are favorite -3.5, but I'm going to go with Dallas here. They're going to beat the boogeyman finally, just like we had to beat the Chiefs that one time. Now all of a sudden we're lockstep with them all the time, every time we play. And
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the time where Dallas turns a corner and they beat the Niners.
I'm actually going to go the opposite way and say that the 49ers are going to win this game. I think that Matt Cheddar is actually wrong on this one. He's saying that the 49ers are frauds. I don't think they're frauds, actually. I think they're a complete team. You have a lot of weapons out there for them. They have Deebo Samuel. You also have Brandon Ayuk. You also have not Travis Kelce, but George Kittle. And then you add into the mix Christian McCaffrey as well. And Brock Purdy's playing pretty good as well, and he's not turning the ball over. And you have a really good defense as well, with a lot of playmakers and Fred Warner, as well as their Nick Bosa out there as well. So I think that this is going to be a game where the 49ers win it. I think it's going to be close, though, but I think that the 49ers are going to win it. But I think that the Cowboys are going to show that they're the number 2 team in the NFC.
Yeah, it's I get it. I mean, the Niners are stacked. They got a great team, but everybody's beatable. And
Everybody is.
I
Any
mean,
given Sunday.
McCaffrey's already almost at 1,000 all-purpose yards right now, which is insane after 4 weeks. So, good for my fantasy. I told my friends that are Cowboys fans, I said, I hope you guys win 60-30 and McCaffrey gets 4 touchdowns. And like, nah, I don't want to give up 30 points, but I hope and think Dallas will win, and I hope McCaffrey also gets me some good points in fantasy. Then you got the Monday Night Football game. It's Packers versus the Raiders, and the Packers are favored -1.5. My heart wanted to say Raiders on this one because I feel for them, but I think that the Packers are going to bounce back after getting absolutely demolished against the Lions, and they're going to win this game.
I'm in agreement with you 100% on this one. I think that the Packers are going to win it, but I think it's going to be one of those games that it's going to be close, and it's going to come down to a last possession, whoever has the ball. But Jordan Love has been playing pretty good, as well as the Packers defense is underrated right now. So I'm going to roll with the Packers and take them for the win. But you can argue that the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, and they could be tanking for a certain guy that's close by in USC's quarterback, Caleb Williams, as well.
Yeah, well, we won't get into all that, but apparently he's going to stay back in college because he'll make a lot of money, which was I was afraid of, about paying college athletes, paying children that don't know what to do with money. Now he's, it's not about the love of the game anymore. It's about, I'll stay in college one more year and be 25 years old playing against 18-year-olds and make $6 million just to play here, and it defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially because they already get free rides to school, which is a
Right.
privilege, and they get that privilege on top of getting paid millions of dollars. When people like me or you, if we wanted to go to college and we didn't have a full ride scholarship, we had to pay financial aid and things like that. When the athletes still get full ride scholarships and they get millions of dollars, so
Right.
they better at least be paying their own tuition at this point. But did you see the Browns? If they keep that QB, they won't win another game. Yeah, that was their backup. It was his first start, and it did not look pretty good for him. Feel bad for the kid.
Well, good
But
for them that they're on the bye right now, and Deshaun can
yeah,
get healthy. That's a good thing about it. But we'll see how everything goes. And the Browns are a pretty good team, but it was smart for them to. Well, not smart for them, but it's a smart time for them to get a bye.
yeah, absolutely. But it was a little bit shorter this week because there's a few teams on a bye, but nonetheless, we got it done. A lot of good picks here, and maybe Brett, like I said, the tally is 46-19. Me to Brett 40-25. So I got 6 more wins and 6 less losses. So he's got a lot of room to make up. But
Yeah,
we thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Drop your takes in the comment section, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it out, and we'll see you next time. Go Bills, and we appreciate you, Brett.
go Bills.